All right, hey everybody. Today we're tracking actually just like a 3 or 4 measure section of of a track called "May Those Who Fight Have Honor." This is the second track, or what will be a track on Michael Enderle's album, and I'll give you kind of a little overview of the beginning of this piece here. It's only about a minute and a half long so far, and you can kind of get a feel for what I'm doing. Specifically, though, I want to call attention to the section that I've got the cursor on right now, which is this kind of a more melodic section in the midst of this really crazy kind of build-up happening. Let's start at the beginning and take a listen. Oh, well, that's not going to work because I have those tracks muted. One second here. Let's play from. This is sort of just the guts of the piece here, to be able to hear what the kind of theme sounds like a little bit. Go back into the theme there, so you can kind of tell what I'm going for here. We've got this big blatty, low brass and choir section. Obviously, it needs to be tweaked a bit to clean it up, but you get the feel for it. This big wah kind of happening, but then you've got this this really. And I say melodic, but it's not. In my mind, it's melodic, and we're missing the melody, and so that's what we're going to work on is getting that melody to really stand out. That we need. So, here, let's listen to the trombone chords again, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And you can see these muted tracks. I've already actually done this, so I'm sort of working backwards and then, or going back and then working forwards again. But I'm going to up my trombone patch here, and you can get a sense for kind of. You can't see this, but I'm playing on the keyboard over here, the trombone, and you can kind of tell what I mean by melody. I'm imagining this happening. As simple melody that's going to play over and around and throughout the rest of this piece, I imagine. So just these chords that we've laid down alone don't have the melodic. They're set in the harmonic structure there, but I want one trombone to poke out through the rest of the trombones. I want that first trombone, the principal, to really sing the melody, while the others are laying down that harmonic bass. So this is what those two sound like together now that I've unmuted the track and previously recorded it. And it's actually technically like a second trombone, I think, because the first trombone would be playing that higher part up there. So that's good. It's not quite what I'm imagining. We're still missing something. And so the next thing I layered in was these string harmonics. This is from the Albion library, and it's just this beautiful, really high. Oh, I'm playing on the wrong track again. Really high strings sound that it's just this, barely scraping the bow against the string, and you get this. Overtones that come in. It's just got this gorgeous, lush kind of sound, and it's perfect for layering like this when you need something just a little bit more in the background. So take a listen to that. right? So that's good. You know, it's now we've got a little bit more of a full spectrum of sound here. If you're talking, you know, EQ metering, you know, we've got a lot of higher end from these guys. We've got some of the mid range from the principal and the you know, potentially like a tenor. I'm sorry, like a piccolo trombone or something like that. Something goofy, alto trombone perhaps, and then the, you know, of course the main melody is in this solo trombone right here, but it's still not quite coming through enough. So I went to a little trick that I liked going, you know, just having some violins. This is my 18 violin patch from the Los Angeles Scoring Strings, I believe. Beautiful library as well. This is a lot more for your orchestral stuff, and they're playing on just tremolos. You know, but you get 18 of them at a time, and you know the tremolos are not very, they're not going to be metered, so they're not going to be da, 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 da. So that gives it kind of this harsh kind of layered sound that's great for, you know, Batman type stuff. So I'm going to use the violins to play the tremolo melody at the same time the trombone is, and we'll see if we can get this this melody to finally come through enough. Now that's just about perfect to me. I think one thing that we're missing, going back to the idea of this full spectrum of sound, is a little bit more on the low end. Trombone is a low instrument; it's in the bass clef, but it's and there's a bass trombone in this this mix up here, but it's not quite low enough on the bass spectrum. You know, I'm sorry, on the bass side of the spectrum, the left hand side, that really gets what I need. And so I'm looking at, you know, I'm looking at you, Pitts bass. The big upright basses in the orchestra that usually sit off to the right hand side if you're looking at the stage. These guys are going to be holding down the you know, 20 hertz and below frequencies. These are the killers. So I put in a little bit of this Pitts bass, and let's see what it, just get a little sample of what it sounds like. Beautiful, like open, organic acoustic sound there, but the thing about Pitts bass is a lot of times it can get hidden in the mix, especially if they're playing up here, just because they're pizzicato, and you know, they're not going to be as full on as your arco basses like this. And that's got a much fuller sound than a Pitts, but you do some octave work with these guys, you can really make them sing. And so what I've done is I've created a sub bass, which is not something you would have in a real live orchestra, but just kind of a trick that we do in this orchestration stuff when we're doing digital audio. Sub bass is exactly what it sounds like. It's really, really low bass. You probably can't even hear that last one, but you can see it's low. It's playing. When you actually have the sub bass double what your pizzicato or your full arco basses are doing, you get this really, really massive, full, low-end sound. It's more felt than heard. Hopefully it'll come through in the audio. I know I'm not recording it, you know, full-on, you know, high-quality wave just for this screen capture, but you should be able to feel at least the Pitts bass in there. So let's see what happens when we add in the Pitts bass to this little section. Nice. I like that. So we're going to stick with that. I'm going to roll it back to about here, and we can get a listen of everything, including the big blatty section that goes into this, you know, more melodic, you know, kind of beautiful section here. Yeah, I like that. That's nice. Like I said, a little work to do here with the choir. I think I might bring these guys down. It's a little, it's just a little warbly up there. It sounds a little fake. So I'm going to bring it down an octave, let the min get involved here, and we'll see if that makes a difference. Sort of. It's still a little bit blatty. So we can play around with the chord structure a little bit. Got kind of this minor 7 sharp 4 ish kind of thing, flat 5, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so that might work. I'm going to play around with this a little bit later on, and we'll see what the final sounds like. But again, get the gist of it here. There we go. Thanks.